Karen,
What?
you ever felt like you've been juggling health, wealth, and relationships, and no matter how hard you try, you're always dropping one of those balls?
Just one? Have you seen me juggle?
Right? It's just like
I can juggle with one ball.
right. It's like every single day, right?
Yeah.
Well, I may not be the right person to help you today. However,
You're not a circus guy?
I'm not. The best I can do to juggle is handkerchiefs because they go really slowly.
Those are good.
Yeah. But we're talking about balls, right? Juggling balls. I may not be the right person to help you, but today's guest, well, she might just have a magic solution up her sleeve.
All right.
Yeah, see, she's like an energy superhero. She helps women align their physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies to not just catch those balls, but keep them spinning effortlessly.
Ooh, I like the effortlessly part.
I had a feeling that you would. Now, though this superhero may not have a cape, she does seem to have a superpower. You see, she uses the power of her voice and some seriously cool harmonizing tools to do this alignment.
I love that stuff.
And are you intrigued yet?
I am.
Well, then get ready, because, folks, this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians is going to be a good one.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And our guest today is on a mission to empower women entrepreneurs to achieve ultimate freedom in health, wealth, and relationships. She's recognized as the leading authority in aligning and harmonizing the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, unlocking the secret to consistent success and personal fulfillment. Sounds like something we're exactly in alignment for. Now, her techniques don't just transform individual lives, they create a global ripple effect of wellness and prosperity. And she does all of this by using some truly mesmerizing methods. Think sound healing with her voice, along with some other cool harmonizing tools. Now, please welcome the powerhouse of energy alignment herself, Cheri Petroni. Cheri, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Wait, I just feel like I had to do that. That was such a great introduction.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad that you liked the introduction. We usually get the other way. No, just teasing.
See, now if she would have opened on her juggling flaming balls of life issues.
Oh, we're going to do it with AI later.
Next time. Okay.
AI does some amazing things.
I know, right?
Some scary things too, actually. But all right, Cheri. So you are a superhero without a cape. Now you are here to help women, entrepreneurs specifically, to get their act together in the best way possible. How in someone, well, before we do that, your story is very similar, right? You were stuck in a daily grind kind of thing. And you at one point had an aha moment somewhere along the line that made you change everything. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, there's a lot of aha moments.
Okay.
So I so love what you just were talking about, because there's a whole different way I can explain this right now that has just shifted. And so actually, we don't want to juggle all the balls, because the fact is do we as women really want to do it all? Okay, if you're my age, I remember this commercial. I bring home the bacon,
fry it up in the pan.
And never ever let you forget that you are a man, because I'm a woman, and we're supposed to smell up. So we go from this suit to yes.
No, we can't say that. It's not sponsored by Angelique, so we can't say that.
I couldn't be hanging. You need the Angelique.
Yeah. Yes. And the thing is that is the one commercial I remember since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And so it worked, because I thought I had to do everything and it all. And I'm throwing up all the balls and not getting any of them anywhere where they need to be, right? Because the fact is it's more about alignment in what you want and what you don't want, which is the whole point of the emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical bodies. And those frequencies of the bodies work together so that you really only have a couple of balls that are your purpose and your passion and your joy and your confidence. And those things work into that whole being, because the other stuff we don't really even want. We thought we were supposed to, but we're not.
And that makes perfect sense, because once you finally do get all those balls juggling in the air, you're focusing on keeping them in the air and not enjoying the fact that you're juggling. Enjoying? Did I say enjoying?
Yes, you did.
You get what I'm saying. So it becomes about the juggling and not about the balls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll go. Let's keep going.
Right.
Next.
Well,
So that was me basically in a nutshell. And I'm a former teacher. I used to teach early childhood education and loved it. And then it kind of changed and I couldn't do some of the things that were being asked of me. And so I moved into aesthetics, and energy healing became a part of that because, well, you're touching people. And I have this intuitive process that just is. And I sometimes get messages, and I don't like to lead with those things, but they are things that happen sometimes within simply doing a facial or what have you, or waxing. So fast forward to, I ended up having my own business, and I'm sitting here now, but I'm not here all the time anymore. So they'll go, oh, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. No, I know. I went to my grandkids and did this. We have to go Halloween, every year we have to do that now, which is a good thing because I can, and I don't have to feel guilty. But there was that time that I was throwing all of the balls up. My marriage was not doing well. My kids were like, why don't you two just get a divorce, because you are both miserable and you hate each other and you this and you that. But I was working 24/7 and getting nothing done, nothing well, because I was trying to split myself from the stuff in the spa, also the whole online business of coaching and working with this other piece that we're actually talking about today. And it was insane because nobody is equipped to be able to do all that well.
Yeah.
We're just, we aren't.
So you could safely say you were not enjoying it.
I was not enjoying it, and I was not finding any sort of enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
I just love it.
Right. So then what shifted? What changed?
Well, so I was sitting right here, which is funny because I don't usually do these podcasts here. As I was sharing with you earlier, and I was sitting here, and it was dark, and I don't know what time it was, and I don't know what I was doing, but it just dawned on me like, hello, what are you doing? Do you really need to be doing all of these things? And I had been, so being an energy healer and the thing about the voice, yes, the voice is the most healing thing that we have as humans. Our specific frequency is designed for us to help heal ourselves, which is an interesting fact.
Wow.
And so I didn't even know that whoever gave you the information, they really went deep to tell that.
I actually
But
might have
point
done
being
a little bit of research.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. Well, good. And that was you. You did some really good research.
Yeah.
So my point being that I just realized that there's so many things that I'm doing here that I don't want to do. There are many things that I would prefer to be doing. And why am I doing the Angelique commercial? Like, really? Oh, that for commercial from back
Right.
in-
With the
80s.
brand that we shall not name.
whatever it was that we were supposed to be doing it all. And so I joke that I graduated in the 80s, and then I was told, put my nose to the grindstone. You can look up when you're in your 60s, and then you can retire. And then probably I will say that I was going down the broken road of not being able to walk well, having my knees problems and stuff, which is why the health, wealth, and relationships, because it all comes down to that. And when that energy is aligned in those 4 energy bodies, it naturally kind of comes into almost like a funnel, into a flow, and just everything else gets better. Everything. Because we see ourselves differently in the world when that happens.
Right. So what was there a specific thing that triggered you to think I need something better? Because it's easy
Well,
to get lost in the 3D of everything, right? Right now, we are going through something that's very 3D, and it's difficult to get into the 5D. It's difficult when you're in the midst of it to get that aha moment that will actually make you move enough to make a change. So what was it that happened for you?
so the good old adage, oh, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I don't know about that, but I was freaking tired of not seeing my kids. I didn't have grandkids yet, but I'm glad that I figured it out before they came along and I didn't get to have a second childhood with them. I grew up in a family where I decided I needed to take care of everything. So I would say that recovering codependent, would say yes when I didn't want to. I thought that by doing everything for everyone else, I would somehow get satisfaction. And when I was sitting here that day, I just realized, like, it must have been a day when people didn't show up and I was trying to argue with people that wanted to have me cut down my facials in half price. And, well, why won't, if we bring two people, will the other one be able to be that? Or, that kind of stuff that is just like, I'm worth more than. And it was that combination of, you are here 60, 80 hours a week. You go home when everybody else is asleep. You get up first thing in the morning and you start doing, even back then, probably Canva and, my social media and, what do I do? And all myself, because the fact is I was not getting the money that I deserved. And I believe that as spiritual entrepreneurs, we deserve some money because we're holding space for people on top of just being there physically and doing the job.
You are speaking my language. So keep speaking.
Yeah. And so I just was like, it wasn't like this day that this miraculous thing happened or anything. It was just, I'm really sick of being the hamster on the wheel, the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump, never getting off of it, and then try to jump off to get home. And then there's all the other things that needed to be done. And we were all miserable. And if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. So I decided I was going to do some things to clear what was creating that lifestyle, because it wasn't really what I wanted. It was what I learned growing up, because we learn things that aren't really necessarily what we wanted to know. And we just got it through osmosis of being around in our family structure, with maybe nothing wrong with the families at all. It just is. We misinterpret when we're 3 or 2
Right.
or 15. We just do.
Well, then what you talk a lot about aligning the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual bodies and all that kind of stuff. But can you, why is that so important?
So because they work together. So our body is this miraculous, energetic piece of equipment that we live in. If you ever watch Supernatural, the meat suit, we're in this meat suit, and we have to really, I don't believe we are these humans trying to be physical, excuse me. Yes, physical, not spiritual, because you know what? I spent most of my life way up here, never grounded. But I needed to bring myself into alignment, back grounding, and learn what it was like to be a human with those 4 energy bodies, because they actually create our human experience and our auric field for protection. And when those are out of alignment and they're not working together, there's holes in our auric field, which sounds kind of funny, but we start leaking ourselves out, and then we're saying, that's when we get low vibration, right? When we get low vibration, we start saying things, oh man, I just said I'd do that. Why? And then of course, because I made a commitment and I keep my commitments, I'm going to go at 10 o'clock at night and come and do this client who is here out of town, and they're going to be leaving at 2 a.m. and they want it right before they go back to South Africa or whatever. Like, I used to do things like this in the spa, and I'm like, why? Didn't get any, there was no added benefit except for I was exhausted the next day. And then exhaustion starts turning into burnout, and we start doing things that we're not thinking fully with a clear head, right? Brain fog, all that. And before you know it, all these silly choices that you never even wanted to do in the first place. And it's like, why am I here? Which is sort of what was happening with me, because I was just grabbing the next thing. I didn't have a clear plan. I just thought I was smart. I was a straight A student. I can just do this, right? No, you also had a whole bunch of other stuff, Cheri, that you shouldn't be thinking that way, because they weren't getting you where you needed to be. So I had to get serious with myself and not blame it on my husband or my kids that they're 10 and 12 and blah, 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 blah. They just don't want to help. And no, they were just as miserable because they didn't know what to do. They don't know how to help mom. I didn't know how to help mom.
So how did mom help herself?
Well, I did what any amazing entrepreneurial woman that wants to have it all and do it all. I took a bunch of classes on how to clear limiting beliefs, inner child rescues, voice dialogue. I'm certified in I'm certifiable. I'm joking in a good way now, but any sort of vibrational healing tool, I can create this amazing full spectrum healing where I can do coaching, take you into an inner child rescue, clear a belief, do some sound bowls, and wrap it all up in a bowl, in a bow. Maybe if you're sitting in a bowl, you'd be wrapped up in that as well. And then somebody then, can go for a while with that. So my point being is I just took coaching classes after coaching classes. And of course, if you get a good course, they make you do the work as well.
Right.
And that's what happened, really.
So how did you go from coaching classes and all this work to the metaphysical, to the energies? Was that something that you had been interested in prior and you kind of took classes in that regard, or did one of these classes lead you to that?
So I was already, so my joke is I came out of the womb and said, how can I help you? And I saw dead people everywhere, because I did. I saw things all as a kid and I'd go, oh, grandma's over there. Or, and my family, and they've helped me tremendously because they didn't really pay that much attention. They go, oh, she's here for the party, or and so I became a little bit of a weirdo to some people, but I also love science. So I studied quantum physics and how, why do crystals work, especially quartz, with the body? Well, because they work with the water very well. That's 70 to 80% in our body. And so there's ways that we can do this frequency work, which is sometimes the first thing people need. So what happened is really what I was doing is learning all of that, became a Reiki master, things of that nature. And, tuning forks and you name it, I can probably do some sort of protocol. And what happened is I was aligned enough to then take that next step of these courses, right? So it had to do with nutrition, and it had to do with beliefs and relationship things and boundaries, and all of that has turned into this very amazing program that is not really a program because it depends on the person, but it's you've got these buckets of things that we can do as after we've been around for a while, and it just becomes this amazing healing process. And sometimes the healing has to do with getting some relief and stress relief and a little bit of alignment, so that person who's, burning the candle at both ends and everybody's angry at home, is able to see where there might be some set points that aren't serving them, which is basically, I see this as this is the most money I can make because of my parents said it or whatever.
So then diving into your site and your services and things like that, one of the things that really stood out to me was the fact that you use your voice to help harmonize people. I want to dive a little bit into that. Like, how do you just speak to them? Do you sing to them? Do you yell at them? Do you, how does that work?
Stop juggling.
So it's funny because, so that is one of the things that I teach people to do. And it's usually in a class. So it's because I also still teach, which is funny. And so quite often I use the singing bowls, or I can have them do it with anything, but so I'll talk to them a little bit about the chakras, so the different energy centers, and really it doesn't matter. They could be cussing the entire time if they wanted to,
You could do
and
it.
it's going to
Oh.
raise their vibration. So if I was going through the different chakras, and you can't really see me, but I'll just put like right here, and then I just go till I can't do it anymore. Some days I can do it for a long time. Some days I can't. So I'll show them how to do each chakra, kind of picture the colors, which are the rainbow, really, from red on up. And I use Jonathan Goldman's sound versus the Vedrick or some of the others, because there's like yam, and it's easier for people to do vowels. But the fact is you could do that one over and over. And so that is really, if you think about it, when you're a kid and you're crying, you fell and you're crying, that's actually a mechanism to help you calm down.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you always feel a little
When
bit
you
better.
sing to your baby and you hold it, and or it's okay. Now they're used to our voice as moms or dads, or who, depending on who's in the household. And then they get to use it like, okay, have you ever stubbed your toe and said a few things out loud? And that those are their actual, it's designed to help you take stock in what's happening, and then allowing yourself to take the next step.
Okay, I just need to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, right? Are you saying that all my cuss words are actually a good thing?
If you use it appropriately.
I'm using them appropriately.
Not the driving ones.
Yeah, like
Oh.
yeah, well, if you're so I'll tell you what I do, because yes, I have a challenge with driving a little bit. So I do this prayer where I hope you get everything you want in your life, and I hope that you I'll just yell at the person.
And do you end it with "you jerk"?
Do I jerk?
You end that sentence with "I hope you get everything you want, you jerk."
Oh, well, I try not to, but when I'm offering them, and you don't even have to really. You can be thinking like that you hit that car in front of you that you just got in front of or behind or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you. So this is actually something that they do in recovery in AA. There's a prayer of give them everything, and it's a way to release resentment towards somebody and to give them acceptance, and it's for your peace of mind, actually. So you say this thing out loud and you don't mean it at all, and then eventually, which this is such a sidebar that I've never talked about, I don't think, out here, but so I'm in recovery, and so what has happened is I've used that for other things. It doesn't have to be just, and then what happens is you lose that charge by talking about the other person. And I hope you get everything you want. I hope you have everything. I hope you get where you need. There must have been something you really needed to do to cut me off like that. I hope you get there in time. I hope nobody dies. Whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm just making it up right now. But when I'm really angry, it's not quite that soft.
And it might have a "you jerk" at the end.
But it helps. It still helps. Yeah. So our voice is very soothing, and that frequency is for us. And that's why some of us have very strange sounds, that our voice is, some people, we have just weird voices. My voice is kind of weird, but not as weird as others. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's my unique gauge to help me be okay.
So then would it be fair to say that the voice part of it is really to use your own voice to ease yourself rather than use your voice to ease someone else?
Yeah. And of course, we also, as parents, grandparents, we will use our voice. Of course, there's that different way in meditation. Oh, I'm not talking like, oh, I hope you get everything you want, when I'm doing the meditation, because it's a difference. So I will soften and I will talk in a way that is more soothing. So yes, we can use it also for someone who is in, I'll just say, in a treatment session, because that's really what it is. And it's helping somebody to feel safe, to feel acknowledged, to feel validated, because so many people have some sort of trauma as well when they come in. And it doesn't have to be this big, horrific thing. Trauma is simply something happened to you or didn't happen for you, like neglect. There was something that didn't happen there. That person didn't feel loved. And so they didn't get something that they need. So that validation and that acknowledgement and listening to that person, and with an understanding and a soft tone to help them feel safe enough to be able to maybe release that stress and to release a few of the thought processes, to feel trusting enough to go into an inner child rescue where you might see something that's a little bit more, doesn't have to be really crazy, but sometimes they find out things that they didn't even realize happened, by going. And I don't want to say reliving, because you don't have to relive it. You can just kind of talk about it.
So how
That's
how does that inner child rescue work? Is that like a hypnosis situation or a deep meditation? How does that work?
So I could say yes, but I'm not going to, because people argue about this all the time. You get into a relaxed state. Put somebody in a safe place. So there are ways, different places that I will take clients, depending on, some people have like a dream home, or they want to go to the beach, and so we just go there and they expand on that space and so forth as they work through things more thoroughly, and sometimes invite people later. And it's really cool because it changes based on their desires and as they start feeling more comfortable. But what happens is that we go to this space, and yes, it's a relaxed state. We want them to feel comfortable and allow themselves to get into a space that they can remember some things. However, they don't have to remember it fully, because we can really go through some somatic work, because our body keeps the score. That's a book. You may have heard that many times. And some of us know it, some of us don't. But there are thoughts and feelings and emotions in all of the parts of the body. So I can just do some somatic work and have them tell me about what they don't want to experience anymore. And then we find it in the body, and they'll go right to that place and find where it is that they're at. Usually they go back, and it might be that, oh, when I was 20, this happened. Can you go back further? Oh, yeah, when I was 12. Oh, when I was 8. I can go all the way back to the womb, which is a whole other story. But early on, I knew I wasn't wanted. And that was how I came out, not understanding all of the circumstances around that, right? Because I'm a newborn. But I just knew, oh, they don't even want me here. Why are they keeping me? And so my first inner child rescue was literally going back to that, and being a newborn and going through this process. So once we get to that space, there's many ways we can go, but the whole point is to diffuse the upset, or the sometimes there's upset. I mean, people have been abused in things, right? And so there might be that. So it gets to be a very unique experience where they get to do what they need to do in that space. And their adult self quite often will come in and help support. And then we remove this child and take them to somewhere safe, let's say in the dream home, and make them their own space. And then the adult will go back and help integrate this child at, let's say, 3 years old, because they just want to maybe play with their toys. And kind of in that age, it's somewhat of the parallel play still. They might have started playing with other kids at 3, but then the person who was having this experience, the whole point is really to integrate that piece back into their psyche. So in shamanic work, it's called a soul retrieval. So when I did a soul retrieval, I was in this cave being held by this fairy that was holding me and waiting for me to come get her. So so depending on where someone is at, I can do a variety of ways to do it. But the point is to go get that little girl or little boy or whatever, and bring them to the space of feeling safe and beginning the process of healing that piece of us that was left at that place, because you're just trying to get away, right? So those pieces get stuck in the past, but they can come forward and then integrate into. I have an area. It's my grandmother's backyard, and my grandmother was my favorite place to be. Was there, and I have about 8 inner children that are various ages of me, and I go there every day. And the one who's like 14, she's like, "Oh, well, we're doing this now," and which is what I was doing at 14. But she's doing it in a way that's healing her because she's helping the little ones heal. And then she's healing, which helps me heal. And I go in and I just watch it. So it sounds kind of kooky, but it really
Sure.
works. And there's the science behind it as well, because those fragments of ourselves must be put back into our higher self or our authentic self in, different words, depending on who we're following or what have you at the
Right.
time. But so that we can be whole again and be children as adults, because really we should still be having a good time. And a lot of us don't anymore.
Although, in all fairness, I've been called a child many times very recently. So.
Yeah, I've called you that, in fact.
Well,
That's
so
funny.
we just did a pretty deep dive on one very particular thing that you do. But
Mhm.
one of the cool things about you is that you actually help people create a freedom plan, right? Where you
Ooh.
actually work with them to figure out what makes the most sense moving forward to help with finances, with your health, with your spiritual being, and all that kind of stuff, right? So walk us through that process.
Okay, so I'm going to give you somewhat of the framework, and then so what's funny about this is it works whether somebody comes in for wealth, health, or relationships, because really those pain points are the pain points for all of that, because of the fragmentation and stuff of what happens when we're younger. So back to that energy piece, sometimes I have to just do some of that and get people to talk and be comfortable and feel. Like if I ask somebody, where is it that they feel in their body? And they go, I can't feel a thing. I might have to spend some time just helping them feel, oh, well, I can't breathe. Okay, let's work with that. Where is it? And talk about shape and size and stuff. So simply that exploration and beginning to feel sometimes is the beginning. But some people, like I would imagine the two of you, have been around the whole Skeptic Metaphysician podcast dealy. I don't know what long
Right.
enough that you have some, how to feel somewhat, right? So then we start going into uncovering and healing past roots. So it could be that, my dad said to me when I was younger, well, you're a Johnson. And so we just don't make very much money and we really work our butts off. And I thought, well, I'm not going to have that as my thing. And so I worked on that as a kid because I was like, no. I had other things though, so that I got to work through that. So, that healing and focusing on really the root sources and why is it that my money or my relationships or my joy has this set point right here when I really want it to be off the charts. And I think I'm doing it so this way, going off the charts to have the freedom that I want. So of course there's that piece of just healing some of that before people can even talk about their why, because sometimes you don't really know. And then they get that belief and possibility shift. And they see that they can define a new future. Maybe not a radical new future yet, but that next desired level. Okay, I want to pay all my bills at the end of the month and not have to pay any late fees. Okay, so I usually work with people with money first because that's their number one challenge, right? I can't get over this hump. I can't quite get here. Now, in the process, your earliest money story is going to be about your parents, most likely, or who raised you. And it's everything about money, and also relationships, and maybe even food. We ate fast food a lot, and so that was actually, I thought we were poor, and actually they were just wasting our money on fast food. That's so there's things I learned, right? So then, okay, so you've got your healing, and then you start believing in yourself. You start becoming more confident. You start getting some wins, right? And when that starts happening, you get the empowerment. And so this is when you might start working in some beliefs and some things of that. But then once you start getting that empowerment, that confidence, you're getting motivated. Okay, you see, oh, I'm getting stuck in this goal, some things like that, right? And so at that point, we start really filtering out where those pieces are still stuck and getting at those deeper things. And then, there's that supercharge that you get. You start being more motivated. And, we all have procrastination sometimes. So there's some pieces that then people will usually stick around for some maintenance and thing, if you want to call it that, so that they can have that consistent action. But it starts with usually money, because that's something most people are like, I got to have the money or I'm not going to have a place to live.
In fact,
and it's hard to do this work in your
in
heart.
fact, you have a kind of a meditation, right, for that type of thing that and some of the services that you do, like you actually will create a personal meditation for somebody if they need it.
Yeah. If somebody really doesn't know, they don't know what they're doing about, like they don't even know how to meditate, which, and I'm like, oh, let me help you. That's like, that's fun, right? And I record it so people can do it if they're not here in the spa. I can record it, and they watch it and watch it and watch it until they're like, okay, next step, right? But yeah, I have a couple of different ones. I have the earliest money story meditation, which is really, you walk yourself through it. And it's me being exactly how I am right now. This is just me all the time. I never stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I have a lot of energy. We all have that. We have a certain amount of energy that we have to expend before we can lay down for the night.
Cheri,
Are
you a Gemini by chance?
I am not. I am an Aquarius, but you'll love this. If you know anything about, I want to say acrobatics, but it's astrology. Oh my gosh, we had an A in it. But so I am oh my gosh, I'm like drawing a blank. I never draw a blank. I always have something to say. I want to say amethyst. That's my birthstone. I'm about.
You're Aquarius.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I am an Aquarius with a Cancer rising and a Scorpio moon. I will tell you, I have 3 pieces of stuff in my body at all times. And they're all
You may
strong.
as well be a Gemini. You have 3 different people inside you.
I do. Yes. And I used to say that all the time, not realizing, because we're very distinctly different.
Right.
And the moon kicks my, what, quite often, because it's just, they're all the emotions are right there.
Right.
So,
well, and it's a deep dive into your site, because not only do you have your personalized freedom plan and things like that, but you also, when you look into your service, you have Oasis to Zen.
Yeah. So this is actually a brick and mortar transformation spa. So it's Oasis to Zen Transformation Spa, because we're all about aligning energies in mind, body, and spirit to be able to get lasting transformation. I can't stand, and sorry if somebody hears me and they've had this from me, but a facial once every 6 months or whatever. Okay, you're going to come back. Your face is a freaking mess again. It just is. And so, I'm so upset because I haven't been in for a year to do an energy healing. I like to teach people how to be able to do their own things, because there is that, but what's really nice is to do those beginning meditations where they can get an idea. And then I want them to come, no strings attached, and do an unpacking of it. because they might have unpacked something that they're like not sure what to do with it, or they're not sure what they did do, and at least to give them some success in those early meditations. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then from there, people will do what they'll do.
Right. And you gave all these great complimentary calls. You got a connection call, you got an integration consultation. They're complimentary. And then, of course, you've got the chakra balances and energy healing, the private guided meditations, crystal therapy healing sessions. There's a lot of stuff.
An awful lot of stuff.
That you offer here.
Yeah.
That now that you mentioned it's a brick and mortar. Is this any of this stuff things that someone can do remotely?
Absolutely. Yes. All of the energy healing, all of the belief clearing work, all of those things, which is why I really have those discovery sessions, because I want to know where somebody is at so I can tell them what's going to work best for them.
Right.
And I don't want somebody to come in and go, oh, yes, I need to clear all of these beliefs today. And they're so anxious that they might just need some tools about, here, why don't you come into my group, and you just stay here for a minute and start giving yourself a hug every day. I mean, there's so many things you can do just to stop some of that, teaching them how to breathe, so everyone's different. So those are kind of guidelines, because when I get in there and, spirit says something, I'm going to ask a question, and then we're down somewhere else because they know.
Right.
Everybody that comes to see me knows. But yes, and they are separated into virtual and what have you. But, somebody just needs to get on a discovery call. Yeah, get on a discovery call. So, okay, I don't know what you were talking about, relationships. I don't even want one. But I'm really needing to do something with my money. And any one of those things could be a thing. But yeah, the beautiful thing is the laws of the universe. No space. There's no space or time in the universe. So this healing work is everywhere. I will say, though, I play the crystal bowls and all of those things for people live as well.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
And I record it all. I've had some healing sessions where then they put on a YouTube, and I'm like, oh, you just ruined it for me. I know which one you're playing because so-and-so does it. And
Gotcha.
So I really do, so that I can tap into their energy.
That's great.
So if someone really was interested in doing a discovery call or something like that, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
So if you, I don't know what website you guys have and all of that kind of thing, but CheriPetroni.com. So CheriPetroni. I'm a petroni. And that's going to send them to the discovery call that they can get. And then also there's the earliest money story meditation. And if somebody ends up having a thing with I don't know, they're eating donuts and they're 300 pounds overweight.
Yes, I am.
I'm joking,
No,
but
I'm not.
then, and that's what they get in their earliest money story. That's okay. Because then we can unpack that. Just because people, that was one of the things, is we only sat at the table when we had donuts, and it was when we had to leave the trailer because it was going to maybe tip over. And so, yeah, I know. And you know what? I didn't know that this was bizarro, but now that I look back, I'm like, oh, but I know when I need a donut, I need connection. I don't need a donut. I need connection.
What if you really need a donut, though? Because I really need a donut a lot.
Well, you probably don't have that connection that I do that's the only time my mom and dad ever sat at the table with us. And it was at Winchell's, and we also had the hot cocoa. And I don't really like either one.
Really? How could you not like donuts?
They're just
delicious. They're delicious.
I think, so when you have a belief that surrounds a piece of food, and then you realize what it really was, it sort of loses its luster.
Food.
I mean, that's really, so I work with people with food and stuff too, because, there is no limit to what we can shift, because our mind doesn't know the difference between reality and not reality. So why don't we start changing some of what we say to ourselves?
Absolutely. And I like how, we started this interview talking about you working and doing all the stuff with women, but the more we get into it, it's very obvious that all of these services can help anybody, right?
Yeah. And the thing is I'm a woman, and so there's specific things that we do as caretakers, and don't ask for help, and then we're and it's because, well, you just took on 500 things and thought you could do it, and I don't do that nearly as much, but
Does it
so there's those pieces that men don't do because you just
what does
don't.
it say if you do? Because I might.
Well, that's usually because I'm I'm exploding really, or imploding, and then I know that I need to take a step back, right? But some people don't take a step back; they do that and keep going.
That's the equivalent of me storming out the door.
You never want Karen to storm out the door. It's an uncomfortable situation. All right.
Yeah. We need a reset sometimes,
absolutely.
so those resets are important, and recognizing that, oh, I just flipped out over something so minuscule. What was really going on? Those are the times that you call. I mean, and it might be 1 or 2 sessions. Doesn't mean they're doing this whole freedom plan for a year, but you could, if you how deep, depending on how deep you want to go.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to add a direct link in our show notes to your website, because I think that you offer a lot of really cool things on there, and it would be very well worth anyone's while to go and take a look at it, because you do have a lot of really awesome stuff on there. But besides your website, is there any other way for someone to reach out to you?
So if they go to Oasis to Zen, my number's right there. You can text me anytime. You can call me anytime. You can, I think the email's on there. I think you can go in the inbox and email me right from there. So if anybody at all thinks they need anything, they just got to ask, because I probably have an idea.
What if I need donuts?
For 'em. Well, I can.
And on that note,
now I got donuts in my head.
Where the nearest Winchell's or whatever other one there might be in your area.
Yeah.
There aren't very many Winchell's anymore.
Right. Well, Cheri, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you so much for taking the time and getting to sharing of your wisdom with us. We're going to add, like I mentioned, links to your website on our show notes. So if you are driving and you don't have a pen, all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page, and you'll see those links directly laid in there in the show notes. Very simple for you to connect with her directly. So again, an absolute pleasure meeting you, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Wonderful. Appreciate it.
Take care.